This is Robert Marglacci, the Mindshare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech. We've got a very special show this afternoon on MindShareTV, podcast with Marc Lijour from ICTC, who is the Vice President leading the Capacity and Innovation Readiness Initiatives at the Information and Communications Technology Council National Center of Expertise on the Digital Economy. We're going to be talking about emerging trends in ICT, the future of work, and work integrated learning, and perhaps a little blockchain. Marc, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Robert. I'm very happy to be on your show today.
A little bit more about Marc. Marc started his career as an educator, teaching mathematics and information technology across Europe and the Americas. He's played a leading role at the Ontario Ministry of Education during the revision of the technology education curriculum. He's been in the sector for a good 15 years, working closely in exponential business, value driving economic and social growth. He's passionate about new technologies, and hence we're going to be talking about blockchain. He chairs the Industry Program Advisory Committee for Blockchain Developer Certificate at George Brown College, holds a master's degree in computer science and an MBA in management, technology, and innovation. Wow, that's an impressive resume you have, Marc.
Clearly, I have to work on my master's for the comp side, or I still left. This is work in progress, I guess, or to be in the future.
Well, I did mine in learning technology a number of years ago, and it was transformational. That the notion of lifelong learning is something that you embrace, and so does ICTC. You really go from cradle to lifelong learning. And it's an impressive organization that you're part of that not a lot of people necessarily know about. We tapped into your work integrated learning program offering. One of our students here from University of Toronto Digital Enterprise Management Program, Ivana, spent 2 years being mentored by me thanks to your awesome program, the WILL program. And upon graduation, she had all the essential skills we needed to hire her full time. So how does that make you feel?
Oh, that
a true case study.
That makes us feel fantastic. You know that ICTC has been around for 30 years and was created as a sector council to look at the ICT sector. Now we call that the digital economy because digital percolated every single industry. 10 years ago, we became an independent center of expertise, and we pretty much look like a social enterprise. We are already helping out the underrepresented groups get there into the ICT sector, and we're providing a lot of insights still for the labor market and also for the industry for decision making and also for policymakers to create to make sure they can create programs that make sense and more impactful.
And you're so essential in bridging the gap. As you know, it's a constant catch-up that we have to play in upskilling future tech leaders. And I was honored to be part of your K-12 task force on digital skills. That was a fascinating experience. You brought together some incredibly bright minds that are immersed in education, and I was honored to be part of that. I like to surround myself with smarter people, I like to say, but it's about making an impact, right? And leading and not following is so vital today. And case in point, the CanCode Initiative and supporting the underrepresented, the marginalized sectors. We have some STEM robotics going on in the background, coding, and you have a program that you've tapped into with CanCode. It's is it your third iteration now? Maybe you can tell us a little more about that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So we're very happy to run this program, and have been running this program for a number of times already, and so our focus is mainly on cybersecurity. And we're very proud, under the leadership, of my former colleagues here. We're very proud to have focused this program on people that are not well represented yet in the ICT industry, like especially girls in IT was kind of the early focus.
Right.
And now we're expanding to francophones, to rural areas, to indigenous people, to people of color. So all kind of representing the diversity that of the workforce, which we want to include more into the ICT sector. And we have also a couple of courses that we have, and other activities for middle school and high school as well. But Titan is, although is not directly funded by CanCode,
Right.
is maybe the brand that people remember the most, because we're running that
Absolutely.
competition out there that is exciting people. And
It's a fantastic program because the career opportunities are exponential. And there's two sides of cybersecurity, isn't there? When you talk to Peter Singh, our mutual friend, CIO in the Toronto District School Board, he'll talk about the number of attempted breaches in a day. It's incredible. There's thousands. Everyone wants to tap into the big nerve center of the TDSB so they can, especially kids, so they can upgrade their marks. They can work on their technical skills, hacking, but they would love to improve their marks if they could. That's always it.
It's one
Okay.
of these areas that are evolving so fast that people are still hard time to catch up to their
Yeah.
mental representation of really what it is. To give you an example, I was um, honored to be on an advisory group board for the CyberX conference, and some of the people on the board are very, very um, uh, expert cybersecurity professionals. And some of the conversations we were having is, for example, at some point is how much these people were getting poached by the US. Some people were offered like 700K on US dollars, pretty much like a
Crazy.
like $1 million a year to work in a tax-free environment in the US. So that speaks about the pressure that exists in the cybersecurity field right now.
Right.
You probably heard about the war in Ukraine. You probably heard about interference in election, in the democratic process,
Hmm.
ransomware. So this is not, even though it's not in the news every day, the pressure keep pushing up. And honestly, there are fantastic opportunities for everyone. It's not just the guy for the pony with the ponytail
Right.
in the basement that can do. They are all kind of jobs. And just to
Absolutely.
finish on this,
Yeah.
we were working
Yeah.
last year with ICED and ESDC. These are the Ministry of Innovation and basically the workforce development. We're working with a lot of experts across Canada last year to redefine what is the workforce of the future for cybersecurity,
Hmm.
who has to be concerned with cyber. And here's the hint: everyone needs to be concerned with cyber, and everyone needs to learn something and be part of teamwork to defend our companies and organizations.
Yeah. That's a good point. And not unlike coding became immersed, embedded in K 12 curriculum across Canada, that cybersecurity piece, the data privacy challenges as well in education are massive. And that's, for our Canadian EdTech Summit this fall, which I hope ICTC will be a part of. You for many years have been part of it in the past. That is mission critical. So I know the CIO Alliance that we curate, we did a panel, and we'd love to have you involved in that panel when we tackle that conversation again and take a deeper dive, because they go hand in hand, cybersecurity and data privacy. And in
Mhm.
education, you can't think of a more vital role to play, because you're protecting kids.
Yeah, definitely. And as you know, digital becomes more pervasive and um, is everywhere. Basically, it infiltrated our lives. And maybe our generation, Robert, we didn't notice it that much, and we just slowly we're absorbed into this sharing our data, putting our pictures on the internet with all the risks that might come with it. But the new generation, the kids that are coming to school now through high school and university, they've been born in that, and they take a totally drastic approach, and they're thinking, wait a minute, what life do I want to live?
Hmm.
And how do I control my own data, my own identity?
Yeah.
It's really about being on the driver's seat, and this is much more real for the new generation than it has been for us, honestly.
Well, and being, that literacy, that media literacy, the notion of understanding your digital footprint and how you are perceived, in social media, you really have to be aware and knowledgeable. And I know they're spending more time in education on this very issue because kids put themselves out there, and there are repercussions, aren't there?
Definitely, definitely, and the government, because I mentioned we're also working on the policy side. The governments are feeling the pressures. Also these groups are
Hmm.
new voters. You just adds a new wave that's going to be starting to redefine policy. And if you're looking at Europe, for example, they recently signed a new framework to protect even more the privacy. The following GDPR just 4 or 5 years ago. Now they're just raising the bar once again, and we can only expect that in the Western world, the trend will continue to go towards more protections and more vigilance. And obviously, back to your point, all of this needs to be very studied at school. What is the impact? How do you protect ourselves with very simple steps? Protect your password. You have to start very simple, but at the end of the day, citizens in a true democracy need to understand their rights, but also how these, where these rights can be at risk and what they can do to defend themselves.
Absolutely. Talk to me about digital citizenship and the importance of that, right? That's something that we talk a lot about.
Yeah, we've developed like a course on digital citizenship, and we have several resources for high school. This is something that we needs to put up to date on a regular basis because the world just keep moving forward. So older people like us, we get stuck in Facebook, and the kids are moved on to the next
Well,
platform.
look at you. Now you're a trendsetter. You're on MindShareTV, which is
There you
the
go.
latest trend. So, we're nurturing your growth mindset, Mark. Speaking of which, how do you stay current? We've been immersed in ed tech for many, many years, and you really have to pay attention and be mindful of emerging trends. We do a top 10 trends annually. What do you see, and how do what are you seeing, and how do you stay at the top of your game?
So what we're seeing, I mean, we have a focus, a magnifying lens here at ICTC on the labor market. So I always start from there. And actually, when I applied for my job, by the way, at the Ministry of Education, that was actually my first concern. Like, where are we sending those kids? Where are we
Yeah.
preparing those kids for? And what kind of policy should we put in place and programs should we put in place today so that they can get there? So now at ICTC, I'm having a lot of fun because we have that data on the labor market.
Wonderful.
So did you know that the number of jobs in employment has risen more than 23% since pre-pandemic level on the digital economy? And so we are really seeing, I mean, more than 20%, that's huge. That's a lot more jobs. And even though you heard today, I mentioned it today, there were layoffs at Shopify. So people might say, oh, well, there are
Right.
layoffs. Well, there are layoffs in the US. But I was just looking at the breakdown today, and these are mostly companies like Shopify that are doing their business internationally. Companies that are mostly exposed to Canada only. This is very quiet, and so huge progression of number of jobs. I don't see that coming drastically in Canada. I think we're pretty safe on the economy.
Mhm.
Like the government has been taking, and the Bank of Canada in particular has been taking very aggressive steps to tame the inflation.
Right.
I do believe we have a good shot at soft landing. So in terms of jobs, I see this only going further. ICTC has forecasted 250,000 new jobs in the digital economy to be created by 2025. So I have my eyes laser focused on these new jobs. So what are they? Where are they being
Right.
created? So we identify 6 areas of innovation: healthcare, clean tech, new media, digital economies, digital media, uh, are a few of those. But you can see manufacturing is another big one, green tech,
Right.
clean tech. So we need to start, and we are starting to work with universities, colleges to create the programs today that will create those new jobs, or allow these talents that the industry is thirsty for to join the industry, so that these businesses can generate the progress in their net zero targets, and they can actually help Canada meet, or the engagement to the Paris Agreements and other accords. By these are just around the corner. If we don't start to train the next generation today, and actually start defining the new curriculum for the new skills we need, we won't have the people from tomorrow, and we won't get there after tomorrow. So it's absolutely essential.
Thank you for that. How important are technical training programs in high school? My high school, I went to George Harvey, uh, got immersed into York Memo because it burned, so they merged two schools. I went to the reunion. I had great experience taking technical courses throughout high school, my first 2 years, and it prepared me to do things, practical things, tune up my car, change a light switch, what have you, build something with carpentry. But yet, there seems to be a push away from that. And some schools, districts aren't even building those programs into new schools.
Well, there is, I mean, the schools, I mean, they've been through tremendous pressure with the COVID time. So I think we need to give them a little break right now and allow kids to come back to, cruise mode, school boards to make sure they restaff, and they reorganize, and they get back to shape. But you're right. Um, the tech sector, I mean, in the past, it's been kind of divided and say, oh, the guy does, I mean, this other people do this, like it's almost like
Hmm.
these people and us, we're going to university, we're going to be doctors and lawyers, and we don't need to know. But I mean, the fact is, by the time you graduate with your PhD, the plumber has already 2 houses, a big truck, a couple of businesses, and is pretty much set for a time. And you just have a big loan to pay for university studies. And the trend has been, as you know very well, is that university students are going to college after university to actually get industry ready skills. So we're coming back to seeing like a blend of theory. You still need theory, you still need thinking, you need critical thinking, but you also need practical thinking that will actually make a difference at the business, in the enterprise. And
You
you
know,
also need soft skills, by the way, which is
100%.
absolutely critical.
Um, so my high school that absorbed the school at York Memorial, that where my wife went, they absorbed their students. So they had two auto classes. When they brought in the academic school, they had to increase it to eight, six additional classes because the students from the academic high school actually wanted to take auto mechanics, right? So what does that tell you? Parents wouldn't necessarily be thrilled about that, but not every child is necessarily streamed for university. And to your point, I know a plumber that I went to high school with that has a hugely successful business, and he went the work integrated learning route. He got certified and at a young age and has had a company that flourished. So there are different pathways that students can take, and it's important to be practical and mindful. And this is where you play a critical role in providing a window into the future of what the trends are, where the jobs are. I think we need to do a better job of that and share success stories like my plumber friend to
Mhm.
inspire kids to think about different pathways.
I mean, we are humans, and I think educators, we understand that we are not training like a robot. We're training a human. We're training a person that will have a career, and a career will last, for the better part of their life, maybe 40 years, maybe more of work. And it's understandable that I mean, we all want them to keep learning, to keep growing, to do different things, and it's totally fine to start, as a plumber or as a PhD, whatever. Everybody is
Yeah.
different, as different. We have different interests at any particular moment
And
in
you
time.
evolve in your career, right?
We
Your
evolve,
mind and
exactly.
your
That's
interests.
we develop other facets. And you mentioned this work integrated learning program we're working on, and ICTC has been also close with other organizations. We were one of the first organizations to deliver the student work placement program, and actually recommending and sharing some of the best practices from Europe, which I know very well because I was born there. So
Yes.
Germany, Switzerland. I mean, I remember my dad. I was tired of hearing my dad say, "Well, the Germans have a good, a good way of doing things." Well, lucky us, we have it now in Canada, and this student work placement program from ESDC has been like a very, very successful program that is very complementary to other programs like MyTax, for example. So our Will program,
Yes.
you don't have to do R&D. You can have a MyTax students doing R&D. You can have a Will student doing the website, the commercializations, the business plan, the things that are not necessarily covered under MyTax. And our program is very flexible and designed to have students just learn about the business. It's just like a first date with employers. Don't you, before you marry yourself with a job just at the university, you come out, don't you want to understand a little bit better where you're going to work? What is it to work at Shopify or to work in a startup on the middle, or in a rural area or urban area, American companies, Canadian companies? You want to have those experiences to see, how do you like it? It's not for everyone to work for a bank or to work for a startup. So you have this chance, and you have the chance also to work with people on the job. Like we all know, we are learning on the job. We're learning from senior. We have mentors in enterprise. This program is about starting to have a little bit of mentorship through experienced business people while people at our university. And when they look smart, and when the click happens between the students and the employers, well, they naturally want to work together. So it also promotes access to employment. It also promotes hiring, and a smoother hiring, because you don't have to wait like 1 year, 2 years after university to find your way.
Well,
You
we're,
can
we're a
just
case in point, right? We're a great case study that, we hired, Ivana right out of university that was a beneficiary of your program. I'm a big fan of it. And the secret sauce for employers and retention is when you invest in your employees and they know you care about them and you paint a picture for the future for them. That's where the magic happens, and they are committed. It's more than just a job, and we create community in our workspace. And thank you to you and ICTC for your support and helping us nurture future leaders and community. I'm so grateful for your time today, Marc Lijour. You are very inspiring and insightful, and I look forward to the next conversation. Let's make it face to face one day soon too.
and let's do that. We're not that far away. We just have
No,
to
we're not. You're
drive.
actually in Toronto as well, I believe.
Yes, we are, and I'm looking forward to this great conference you're putting together as well.
Awesome. Thank you again. That was Marc Lijour, Vice President, leading capacity and innovation readiness initiatives at ICTC. My name is Robert Merlanche of the Mindshare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare.learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.